Hello everyone, welcome to all in today's lecture on introduction of well stimulation services. Myself Sagar Gadataria, working in ONGC as a production engineer. I have secured All India Rank 12 in 2019 GATE Petroleum Engineering. So content for today's lecture is what is well stimulation, why it is used and when it is used. Then we will talk about formation damage mechanism, formation damage cause and technique of stimulation at basic level. Technique of stimulation at details level is planned in upcoming lectures. As you might aware of Darcy's law that states that flow rate of liquid is directly proportional to the permeability of the porous medium, cross-sectional area and pressure differential across the length L, and inversely proportional to the viscosity of the fluid. So any impairment in any of the parameters will directly affect the flow of fluid. So we in formation damage or in well stimulation we will talk about impairment of permeability, impairment of delta P. So both will lead to affect the flow rate of liquid. By technical definition, well stimulation is performed to restore or improve the production of oil and gas. Now if we compare well to the patient, and if well is not flowing at its optimum potential, then there are two types of problem we can identify, either mechanical problem or reservoir related problem. If it is mechanical problem, then we have a technique called workover operation, in which we will remove the equipment from the wellbore, we will repair it and we will again lower it and well will be okay. But if the problem is with reservoir, then we need to alter or change the reservoir properties. Here we have a well stimulation in which we are not changing any reservoir property, but by use of this technique we can alter the in situ parameters near the vicinity of wellbore. Now if you consider these are the rock grains. These are totally blocked by the foreign materials. Foreign materials invaded during the drilling or completions, let's say. So if we remove this material or we can bypass this material by creating new channels, then our flow of fluid will be very smooth and in very high quantity. In other definition, well stimulation is opening of new channels. This is what opening of new channels in rock for oil and gas to flow through easily. Now if you remember shale boom in America, they have hydraulically fractured the shale rock which is nearly impermeable rock. So to produce fluid, either gas or oil from such type of tight reservoir, we need a technique called well stimulation. They used hydraulic fracturing well stimulation. So well stimulation is not only limited to the repairment of well or repairment of reservoir, but it is also a production technique. Let us consider this is our wellbore. Now when you put well into production, fluid will flow from reservoir to the wellbore by maintaining an ideal pressure profile, which is in undamaged zone condition. But here you can observe that pressure will fall sharply near this zone. So this is a damage zone. Now phenomena which is happening here is formation damage, or we can call as a skin. So in damage zone, the permeability of damage zone will reduce or will be less than the reservoir permeability. So this zone act as a restriction. So what is formation damage, how it is occurred, and what will be the impact of formation damage on production, we will see in further slide. So formation damage is defined as the impairment to reservoir caused by wellbore fluids used during drilling, completion and workover operation. Now when you drill a well, you use a drilling mud with chemical additives, and in most used condition, that is overbalance condition, you are keeping hydrostatic pressure of mud greater than the reservoir or of formation pressure. In such case, you are continuously penetrating your foreign materials or a chemical to the near vicinity of the wellbore. So this zone will be affected and this zone will be full of foreign particles. So permeability of this damaged zone will reduce and will be less than the reservoir permeability. So this damaged zone will act as a restriction to the flow of fluid, and the relative permeability of rock in this damaged zone will be very less. So based on Darcy's equation, our flow rate of oil will also less. So due to this restriction, you will observe the sharp decline in pressure in the damage zone. So for better visualization, we will see one video.
Primary causes of formation damage are invasion of drilling mud solids or filtrate into the formation, expansion of water-sensitive native clays, and the invasion of solids from the completion fluid into the formation.
Research has shown that the solid particles carried into the formation pores are the main cause of permeability impairment, and such impairment is dependent on the size of the particles and the permeability of the formation. Shallow invasion of these particles will occur when their diameter is roughly 10 to 30% of the mean pore diameter of the formation, as indicated by this table. It is easier to damage higher permeability reservoirs because fluid losses can carry solids deeper into the formation. Formation damage caused by drilling fluids may be minimized by properly sized mud solids, which quickly form a protective filter cake, drilling with clear, filtered weighted fluids, underbalanced drilling, and post-drilling stimulation.
Particularly when drilling with freshwater muds, mud filtrate invasion can cause permeability reduction due to the swelling of native clays and their dispersion in the pores of the formation. Low concentrations of potassium or calcium chloride in completion fluids have been found helpful in preventing such damage. Although the perforating process itself always causes some damage due to the crushing of the rock surrounding the perforation, the major causes of perforating damage are solids plugging during overbalanced perforating, and inadequate perforation density and/or length.
Underbalanced perforating using through tubing or tubing conveyed techniques and the use of clear filtered completion brines hold the greatest promise for reducing such damage. A minimum of 4 shots per foot, preferably more, properly sized charges, and centralized guns can also increase the number of perforations contributing to flow.
The importance of clean completion fluids cannot be overemphasized. Careful rinsing of mud tanks, removal of scale, rust and paint from drill pipe, minimal use of pipe dope on connections, and constant monitoring of filtering elements are drilling procedures which are becoming standard practice with many companies. The added cost of these procedures is more than offset by the improvement in productivity.
So now let's talk about source and damage mechanisms in detail. If we talk about source of formation damage, then spudding of well to the abandonment of well, we are doing many activities like drilling, cementing, perforation, completion, gravel breaking, and the production. Production is done for 20 to 30 years. So during that span, we are doing activities directly to the reservoir. We are doing activities in downhole perforation. So formation damage mechanisms such as fines migration, due to incompatible workover fluids, emulsion sludges, bacterial growth, pressure reduction, due to stimulation, bacterial growth, organic, inorganic scale, that will come into the picture as a damage mechanisms. And then in injection, we are injecting the fluids, workover, and in case of stimulation, here stimulation is also damage removal technique, and stimulation is also a cause for damage, because when we use hydraulic fracturing, in that case hydraulic fracturing fluid is cool fluid, so it will decrease the temperature, downhole temperature, and it will lead to the bacterial growth. So we will discuss in later. In mechanism of formation damage, first we will see the solid plugging. So the solid plugging either caused by the drilling activity, workover activity, or by at the time of completion while we doing the perforation. So during drilling or a workover operation, when we use the mud as a medium, in that case we are using the solids such as bentonite clay, that particles will filtrate to the formation, and as you can see in this figure, that it will block the pore space, and when it blocks pore space, it will not allow the fluid flow of fluid. And while in case of perforation, that results in an open perforation that enclosed with lower permeability zone. As you can see figure, that these are the lower permeability zone. When you explode the perforation gun or perforation charge, that zone will be compressed and it will create the lower permeability zone. So this damage area results in reduce the inflow of fluid. So this will restrict the inflow of the fluid. But sometimes with time, the productivity index, which is nothing but a fluid production per unit well drawdown, which will increase with time because of the cleaning process of this area. So the cleaning process of this perforation, that depends on backflowing. So the production under high drawdown. Second is acidizing. If we remove this zone by acidizing technique, and the perforating in a underballast condition. If we do perforation or completion of well in underballast condition, which is mud hydrostatic or completion fluid hydrostatic pressure is lower than the formation pressure, then in that case this damage will be reduced. So our next damage mechanism is swelling of clay. So the type of damage in which the formation permeability is reduced because of the alteration of clay equilibrium. As we know that the clay is abundantly present in the shale rock rather than in reservoir rock. So this type of damage mechanism is not much of concern, but while drilling or workover or completion operation, when we use drilling mud, we are generally using water-based mud. So in water-based mud, water is in abundant quantity. So when it come in contact with the clay particles, clay has a tendency to absorb the water. So clay will swell and ultimately it will reduce the pore size. As you can see that, suppose this is the clay plates. When it is come in contact with the water-based fluid, it will absorb the water in between its plates. So it will swell in size. So when the clay particles swell, it will ultimately reduce the pore size. So it will ultimately reduce the passage of the formation fluid or oil and gas to flow. So the nature of reaction that depends on structure of clay and their chemical state at the moment of contact. This is the kaolinite clay, which has a structure that if it is swell, it will act as a breeze between the pores, and this type of structure, this is generally observed in the illite clay. So illite clay will totally isolate the pore. So whatever fluid available in this pore, we can't able to produce that fluid. So as you can see in figure that before damage it is providing continuous passage for oil to flow, but once the water-based fluid is come in contact with the clay particles, that will swell and it will reduce the passage. So this portion is reduced. So this type of oil droplets will become isolate and we can't even produce after the damage. So third damage mechanism is the saturation changes. Now we know that when we calculate the oil initial place, the formula is like 7758 area into multiply by height multiply by porosity multiply by saturation of oil in the reservoir. But due to the formation damage, if the saturation changes in the reservoir or saturation changes occur near the vicinity of the wellbore, then the relative permeability towards the oil phase or relative permeability towards the gas field will change, and relative permeability to the water will increase. So this type of saturation changes lead to the less production or any impairment on the production. As you can see in the figures that the high fluid loss causes the water saturation to increase, which results in decrease the relative permeability of the oil. So you can see in figure that as the water saturation increase in the reservoir, the relative permeability of rock towards the oil will decrease. So that will ultimately, based on Darcy laws, as flow rate is proportional to the relative permeability of oil. So if relative permeability of oil will decrease, then flow of fluid will also decrease. So our next damage mechanism is fine migration. So it is defined as the movement of fine clay, quartz particle, that is from sandstone reservoir or similar materials within the reservoir formation due to drag force during production. Now the fine migration may result from an unconsolidated or inherently unstable formation, or from use of an incompatible treatment fluids that liberates the fine particle. As you can see in the figure that this is the sand grain, but when we produce fluids with such a high velocity, so due to the drag force or when we use incompatible fluids, that will react with formation and it will generate a fine particle. So generation of fine particles will form a breeze that will not allow the flow of fluid from between the pore spaces or between the passageway. These fines can include different materials such as clays and silts. Generally, kaolinite and illite are the most common migrating clays. So damage created by fines usually is located within the radius of 3 to 5 feet of the wellbore, but can also occur in a gravel pack completion. So in sandstone formation, hydraulic fracturing mixture are used to dissolve fines, and in carbonate formation, the goal is not to dissolve but rather to disperse fines in the wormholes. So hydrochloric acid HCl is used as a treatment fluid in type carbonate formation. Now the Fine migration is totally controlled by three factors: salinity of brines, fluid velocity, and wettability of rock. As you can see in the figure that if we produce fluid higher than the critical velocity, then due to drag force, fines will generate and it will block the pores. And if we produce lower than the critical velocity, then we can mitigate, or then we can avoid the fine migration. So our next mechanism is wettability alteration. Generally, reservoir rocks are water wet in nature. So it has been demonstrated that while drilling with oil-based mud system, excess surfactant in the mud filtrate that enter the rock can cause wettability reversal. Here we can see that this is the red color reservoir green, which is water wet in nature. So the oil remains in this free portion, so that can be easily flow. But while drilling we use oil-based mud, then the surfactants will react with formation and it will change the wettability from water wet to oil wet. Now if rock become oil wet, then it will the cornet oil saturation will increase, so that we can't produce that oil. So along with surfactant in drilling and completion fluid, the corrosion inhibitor, dispersant stimulation fluids, and the use of resin for sand control, that can also change the wettability near the wellbore region. And the near wellbore region wettability change, then it will act as a damage zone for us and it will restrict the flow of crude oil. So alteration of wettability in that region around the wellbore can result in additional pressure drop, and because of the reduction in oil permeability. Once the wettability of rock changes from water wet to oil wet, the water can easily move. So the rock permeability towards the water, or relative permeability of rock towards the water will increase. And as the relative permeability of rock towards the water increase, that relative permeability of rock with oil will decrease. And that ultimately, based on Darcy's equation, that will lead to the less oil flow or an impairment in the production. So our next damage mechanism is bacterial plugging. Like anaerobic bacteria that are present in and around oil and gas wells in abundant quantity. So the general tendency is our temperature, or our in situ temperature, is around 70 to 140-150 degrees Celsius, whereas our pressure is around 3000 to 15,000 psi. In such in situ condition, the growth of this microbial bacteria is not stimulated. But when we inject foreign fluid, such as water-based fluid, during activity like hydraulic fracturing, in that condition the temperature will decrease and that will lead to stimulate the growth of microbial bacteria. So as you can see figure that before the fluid can easily flow throughout the spores because bacteria is in less quantity. But when you inject foreign fluid, when you inject cool fluid, then temperature will reduce and it will create the growth of microbial organism. So that will block the pores, and due to blockage of pores, fluid flow will be restricted, and this type of condition will lead to the formation damage near the vicinity of wellbore. Now sometimes sulfur reducing bacteria can also result in generation of hydrogen sulfide. So as we know, the hydrogen sulfide is very dangerous gas, and that will lead to falling of the flow line and facilities. There is no such method to mitigate it, but sometimes use of any bactericide such as sodium hypochlorite and mixture of other strong oxidizing agents, that will reduce this problem. So our next damage mechanism is gas breakout, which is more or less production related damage mechanism. Let us assume that our reservoir is solution gas drive reservoir. In such type of reservoir, we try to keep our reservoir pressure at bubble point pressure or above the bubble point pressure, so that we can utilize the energy of gas that remain in the oil phase. As we produce more and more, as the reservoir pressure decline, that gas will expand and that push the crude oil to the wellbore. Now suppose initial condition, our reservoir pressure at above the bubble point pressure. Now we want that pressure of fluid drops below the bubble point pressure in the wellbore region. So that bubble of gas or that gas phase we can utilize to produce crude oil from down wellbore to the surface. So that will help in a self flow wellbore. But what if the reservoir pressure falls below the bubble point pressure in the near vicinity of the wellbore? In such condition, the gas phase will form near the vicinity of wellbore, and the gas saturation is increased in such quantity that won't allow the oil to flow from a reservoir to the wellbore. So that will act as a restriction or the damage zone. So as the saturation of gas increase, the relative permeability rock towards the oil will decrease. To mitigate this type of gas breakout, we generally focus on the production behavior, and during the development of field, we produce well in such a way that this type of breakout won't occur. Here we can include the other formation damage mechanisms such as emulsion blockage or water blocks. Generally, when we use a fluid, we use as a surfactant as an additive. In such case, this surfactant will lead to the formation of emulsion. That emulsion will block the near the vicinity of the wellbore. So this type of formation damage are also happen, and in general, it is difficult to remove emulsion and sludges once they are formed. Thus, it is imperative to prevent the formation of such emulsion. The use of mutual solvents such as alcohols and surfactant is the most common way to remove these deposits from the near wellbore region. So now we learn about the quantifying the formation damage. So quantifying the formation damage means we can predict that our formation is, or our near wellbore formation is damaged, stimulated or undamaged condition. So commonly used measure of well productivity is the productivity index. Productivity index is nothing but the flow of fluid or flow rate per psi drawdown. So most commonly used measure for the formation damage in a well is a skin factor. Skin factor is dimensionless pressure drop caused by the flow restriction in the near wellbore region, and it is defined as a skin is equal to kh by 141.2 mu q mu v delta p skin. This formula will be get in the get from the well testing. So from well testing we can calculate the delta p skin, and then we can calculate the skin factor. If skin factor is positive, that means it is showing that additional pressure drop is happening. That means well is damaged. If skin factor is 0 or less positive, then we can say that this is relatively less damaged well or undamaged well. And when we use a swell stimulation, then we are converting our skin factor from positive to negative. This means our well is now in undamaged condition. So this delta P, this additional delta P pressure drop is not helping in our production, but it is restricting production. So in the second impact is that we are getting less PWF here. So less PWF means it will not help in the self flow of the well. So here delta P skin additional pressure drop or pressure drop due to the damage zone will restrict our flow from the reservoir to the wellbore. Now here we introduce the flow efficiency. So the flow efficiency is the measure of well's productivity. So flow efficiency is defined as the ratio of productivity index actual added productivity index ideal. So when the flow efficiency is equal to 1, it shows it's an undamaged well. In case of flow efficiency of 1, it is undamaged well. When the flow efficiency greater than 1, it indicates the stimulated well or hydraulically fractured well, where the near wellbore damage is either removed or not happened in the first place. When the flow efficiency is less than 1, it indicates the damaged well. In case of if we compare with the skin factor, as the skin is positive, it is called a damaged well. So in case of skin positive, the flow efficiency will be less than 1, and if skin is negative, in case of negative skin, flow efficiency will be greater than 1. And here is a note that to determine the flow efficiency, we must know the average reservoir pressure and the skin factor. Both factors will be calculated with help of either build-up test, drawdown test, or the isochronal test. From well testing, we can calculate easily skin factor, flow efficiency, and delta P skin. So additional pressure drop which is happening due to the damage zone. Here the plot is against the PWF by PR versus Q by Q max. So based on Vogel equation, as we know that from Vogel equation we know that Q by Q max is equal to 1 minus 0.2 PWF by PR minus 0.8 PWF by PR whole square. So this is plot is shows that PWF by PR against the Q by Q max. So we can know that as we go in right direction, flow efficiency is increased. So for the same PWF by PR, as we go at the higher flow efficiency or undamaged well, we will get the higher production. As we learned about formation damage in details, now how we can remove formation damage, because we can't mitigate formation damage, but we can remove the formation damage. So for that we have a stimulation services. Now the services in which we enhance or restore the production are called stimulation services, and in which we can maintain the production, or we can flow the well without any problems, is called allied production services. Now in stimulation services we have two major services, there's acidization and hydraulic fracturing. And in allied production services we have a sand and water control, water oil circulation, coil tubing services, nitrogen services, and casing tubing cleaning. So acidizing is used to either stimulate a well to improve flow or to remove damage. If you inject acid pressure below the fracturing pressure, this is called a matrix injection, and if you inject the acid above the fracturing pressure, it is called acid fracturing. Now during matrix acidizing, the acid dissolves the sediments and mud solids within the pores that are inhibiting the permeability of flow. This process enlarges the natural pores of reservoir, which stimulates the flow of hydrocarbon. In case of acid fracturing, if we are injecting acid pressure higher than the fracturing pressure, so it will create a fracture. And in comparison with hydraulic fracturing, here you not required a propping agent, because the fracture created with help of acid is like this type of etching. So even if it flows, it will create a pores in between, so it will improve the flow of hydrocarbons. So in detailed lecture on acidizing, we will learn how the well is selected, what are the parameters that are looked into, and what is the how volume is calculated, and how is the process completed. So hydraulic fracturing is a well stimulation techniques, involves the fracking of bedrock formation with help of pressurized fluid. When you inject the high pressure fluid along with the sand or proppants, it will first create the opening of bedrock formation, and then you place the proppants in between. So when you remove the pressure of hydraulic fluid, the proppant will hold the fracture, and it will provide the passage for fluid flow. So you can see here that these proppants holding the fracture open. In other techniques, while in production, we use the hydraulic fracturing to produce oil and gas from the tight reservoirs, such as a shale reservoir. In USA also, while producing gas from shale rock, they are using the hydraulic fracturing techniques. On separate lecture on hydraulic fracturing techniques, we will learn what are the parameters that need to be complete before the designing hydraulic fracturing, what are the criteria of well, how the process is carried out, what are the steps of hydraulic fracturing, what are the additives used, and some calculation based on hydraulic fracturing technique. Now sand control. Like when you put a well in a production, due to the high velocity of fluid or due to the drag forces, the formation near the perforation will be incompetent, so that flow of sand particles will come into the wellbore, and due to the flow of sand particles, it will damage the surface facility also. So to remove the sand flow, we use the generally sand control techniques. There are passive sand control techniques and active sand control techniques. In passive, we are managing the perforation or a perforation angle, but generally we use the active sand control techniques, in which we use the sand screens which are placed against the perforation, so that it will not allow the flow of sand into the wellbore. So when fluid will flow from the reservoir to wellbore, it will be filtered at the sand particles and at a screen. So screen won't allow the sand particle to enter into the wellbore. So only fluid will be. So this is the general process overview of sand screen completion, where the drill string is prepared with the sand screen at the lower end, then followed by blank pipe, then landing nickel, and then the crossover tool. So after slurry prepared with thermogel, because we need suspension of proppant, otherwise it will fall out from the slurry and will not reach up to the bottom. So slurry is pumped through the tubing, and it will go through this port to the annulus portion. Once annulus portion start filling, we apply pressure on it so that it will be compact. Now we use here blank pipe. So the use of blank pipe will provide additional margin to the sand screen completion, because this margin or the weight of sand present there will help to compact this portion. this lower portion. Now second step is the reverse washing. Once the slurry is filled, once the total slurry is pumped, reverse washing is required to clear the sand against the our tools, so that we can easily retrieve the tools. In reverse washing, we pump normally brine water or simply water from the annulus, and we will retrieve from the tubing. So after reverse washing, it is totally cleaned from the landing nipple portion. So we release the crossover tool, and then we seal the annulus with help of lid seal assembly, so that our sand pack completion will remain in intact condition. Now to produce from the sand completion, we lower the tubing and we keep in a hanging position. So this portion now will act as a open hole completion, or this will act as a directly this is our well bore. So this will act as an open hole completion, and we can visualize that fluid is produced directly from the reservoir, and we are producing here in the tubing. So in other production services, that is a coil tubing unit and nitrogen services, and there is a conjunction of coil tubing unit and nitrogen services. Coil tubing unit is generally used when our well is on artificial lift system. In such case, there is no facility to provide a circulation from tubing to annulus. At that time, we lower the metal pipe, which is around 1 inch, 1.5 inch metal pipe, which is called coil tubing, to provide the temporary circulation, and our new annulus will become the space between production tubing and the coil tubing unit. There is a nitrogen services. Nitrogen service is generally used after the workover completion. When the workover of the well completed, the well condition is such that well is full of kill mud, and reservoir has no capacity to lift this kill fluid. So we inject in nitrogen gas with help of coil tubing unit. We inject nitrogen, so the column will be erect and density will decrease. So slowly this fluid will come out, and once the hydrostatic pressure down, reservoir has sufficient capacity to initiate the production of oil and gas. So this is for today. We will meet in next lecture series on separate lecture on acidizing, hydraulic fracturing, coil tubing unit, sand control and water control. Jai Hind.